What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you what all you need to convert your rear diff drum setup to disc. Now, I already have it tore apart. I started last night, so I didn't film none of it because it was pretty dark. But yeah, I was eventually going to do this sooner or later, and I had done this before, except the previous rear end this truck had went out, so I just replaced it, and was just a replacement with the original rear diff, which came with the drum setup. Now, as you can tell, the axles are out, and here's the pads or the shoes and the drum. So basically I ended up losing my brakes, and it's my fault, as you can tell. What happened is the shoes were so worn out that I got to a point that the cylinder, the little piston that pushes out, literally popped out. Fluid started leaking, and I didn't have no brakes. But I kept my old rear end, kept all the parts from that when I did the disc conversion on that. So yesterday I went over to my dad's and took it apart, and I'm going to show you what you need to do this yourself. I would say probably the hardest part is pulling the axles out, because probably a lot of people don't know how they're held in there and how to take them out. But literally, axle goes into the diff, and this little groove right here, and it takes a little C-clip on each one. Then right in the center of the diff, to the cross pin goes and pushes through, so these won't move, because if it moves in, the clip falls out. But once you put the clip in, put the pin, and the clip seats back against another groove in the diff, that won't let the axle go out. But I think that's probably the hardest part, is taking that apart, because you have to take the diff cover off, 13mm bolts. Then you have to take the little pin that holds the cross pin, which is a 8mm. Take that out, and the pin just slides right out, and you're able to push the shafts, axles in a bit to be able to grab the clip right out with the magnet, and then the axles just push straight throughout the whole rear end housing. But yeah, so like I said, I didn't film anything of taking that apart, which I probably should have, but it was too late, it was too dark, and I'll probably show you a little bit more about that later when I start working on that. But as you can tell, the rotors are rusted, but I'm going to clean them up. And what you need is the backing plates. That's the most important part of doing the conversion. Now these are out of a 2007 Chevy Tahoe, and basically you take everything apart, you pull all the drum setup off, even the backing plate from the drum setup, once you obviously have your axles out. And you bolt these on there. Now these bolt up to the housing with these four. Okay, so yeah, another a little dirty, but and then your caliper and bracket bolts up to these right here, which you see those two. It's a very straightforward swap. Like I said, probably the hardest thing is taking the axles out and tearing the rear end apart, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple. Yeah, this is just a single piston caliper, but I used this setup before on my previous rear end and it worked great. Never had a problem with it until the rear end went out. But yeah, I'm gonna clean everything up, start putting it back together, and I'll continue from there. Just probably show you the little process of taking the old backing plate off and put this one on and do the whole setup. Now I did use the brake lines, or I bought them when I did this setup first. I got the brake lines at AutoZone and just got them for the same year as what these came off of, which was a Tahoe. This is from a 07 Tahoe, and these are from a 07 Tahoe. These are for 07 and up Sierra. So you do use the Sierra rotors and the Tahoe setup, and it works fine. These lines, these are the ones I bought from the Tahoe. So yeah. Alright, so these bolts are 18 millimeter, and I'm just gonna pop them off here real quick. They do have some Loctite, I can tell. And just like that, the plate will come off. Now, I'm not going to take it off just yet because the line is still hooked up. But yeah, that's pretty much how it comes off. Once you take this off, you just reverse the process of bolting your other one on. Hook up the line to the other line and continue. But yeah, so I mean, this is a cheaper way of doing it. I know they sell the big brake kits and all that, but I mean, I don't have the money to do a conversion of, you know, that's going to cost me that much. Yes, it's a nice setup, but you know, I figured this out, and this, you know, what I'm gonna end up doing. So I know a lot of other people also swap rear ends that are already disc setup, but you know, I'm just making this little video for anybody with I think they came out in 05 or 06 and up with the drum setup that may want to convert to disc. And you know, this is my way of doing it, and as far as the parts that I used. And I'm sure as far as these backing plates and calipers and rotors, and I'm pretty sure you could use the backing plates off what is it, like a 99 to 06 Silverado or Sierra. As long as you get the backing plate, the bracket, you know, the whole thing off that rear end, you should be able to swap everything over to a drum setup rear end, which you eliminate the drum setup and go with the disc rotor setup. But yeah, so I'll film a little bit more of the process of putting the rear end back together. Alright, so here's my other setup that I'm going to put on. The disc rotor setup. That's the old drum setup. Backing plate. This is the backing plate that's going to go here on the axle. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up a bit. It's all greasy. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bolt this up right now. I'm just using brake clean to clean this up. So the only other thing you're really gonna be kind of worried about, but doesn't really matter, is the position the caliper's gonna be in. Last time mine was up here in this area. That's the same way I'm gonna go ahead and put it on here. So my whole caliper setup is gonna sit right up here, which should be fine. So I'm gonna get this bolted up real quick. Just like that. Now, next I'm going to go ahead and put the axle back in. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the axles first and then put it back in. Gotta make sure it catches in the diff splines. Just like that, just push it all the way as far as back as you can, because now we're going to put in the C-clips. Alright, so we're under the truck and I already put the axles in. I don't know if you can see in there the axle, and then that one's a little too far in, but I'll push it back now. These are the C-clips that go into each side. So I'm going to go ahead and try to put one of these on now. So there's one of the clips in there. So once the clip is in, you push the axle out, and basically that catches the pin, not the pin, the clip, into place where it won't move. Basically just like that. See, clip is in right there. I'm just going to do the same process on this side, except I'm going to pull or push out the axle a little bit. Okay, that should be good enough for the next clip. It's the same as the other one. Okay, clip is in. Okay, that's in, and I'm going to push the axle out. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here because I gotta kind of pry a little bit on the axle there to seat the other C-clamp in there, and yeah, I'll continue after that. Alright, both axles are in. Now the pin. What's next? Go through that hole all the way through. But yeah. Just like that. This little guy, so it holds it in place from sliding out. Might not be lined up. Try that. Oops, there it is. Just hold this back up. Holds that in place. C-clips are inside. This pin prevents the axle from moving in on each end, and that way the clip don't fall out. Clip falls out or breaks, your axles are popping out or coming out of the axle housing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just finish this up, clean it up a bit, put the cover back on, and then just work on the brakes, just like if you were doing a regular brake maintenance or replacing pads. So yeah. Alright, so I got it all mocked up. Still gotta clean this rotor. Obviously it's all rusted, but the caliper's on. And for the line here, basically I just bent this line because this line was facing this way, so I just grabbed it, bent it, and hooking it up to the brake line there. So yeah, so basically that would be the finished product, and that's how I did the swap. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get it done, and probably won't post anything else as far as it being done. But yeah, that's it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.